Hi everybody, Karen here. So today's video is going to be on how to get your team to duplicate. So thank you for Joanne for recommending this subject. So let's talk about how to get your team to duplicate. So there's a few ways that you're going to get your team to duplicate. You are going to lead by example. So that is the most important. If you are not leading by example, then how do you expect your team to lead? Okay, so leading by example is a few things. Are you sponsoring? You need to be sponsoring more than one person a month if you're going to lead by example, to be honest, okay? You should never sponsor less than 3 people, right? We've done our math, and starting at pink and above, you need to sponsor no less than 3. So depending on where you are in the company, like what status that you hold, you know the number that you need to sponsor every single month, okay? So you need to sponsor people. If you have a team under you, then you're probably within that number of 3 to 8, the number that you need to sponsor. So you need to sponsor. You need to post your sponsors on your wall. For a few reasons. 1, for all of your team to see that you actually are building your business, and 2, for your network to see that, wow, she is building a business. This is real stuff. Okay. So sponsoring is number 1. Sales is number 2. You can't have a team and expect them to pull all the weight. If you are the leader on the team, sometimes you have to pull the majority of the weight. So you should have no less than $500 in sales every single month. That is the bare minimum that you should have. And why is it the bare minimum? Is because if you want to reach leadership status, which is green, if you want to reach that status, you have to sell a minimum of $500. So green, orange, purple, and black, you need to sell 500. Pink and blue, you need to sell 250. If you were doing the bare minimum and selling about, $300 every single month, so you went to pink, and then your team got you to blue, and then you hit green, and you sold the 500 because you hustled, right? Yeah, you had to hustle to get that 500. Guess what's going to happen next month and the month after is you're going to go into shock because you've been so used to selling the 300. And now you have to sell 500, and you have to keep that up every single month. So you should always be shooting for a minimum of 500, okay? You need to show, and that's the bare minimum. So you need to be showing your team that you are selling. And the more that you sell, the more experience that you have and the more tips that you can provide to your team. So you know what? Guess what, guys? I sold $1,000 this month, and this is how I got it. Okay, so you've shared your ideas. This is what worked for me. Hopefully try it and see if it works for you. If it doesn't, try it again. If it doesn't, then maybe it wasn't for you, but you've got to give it a few tries to do it, okay? So duplicating your team is leading by example, sponsoring, selling, and sharing those tips on how you were to get, different ways that you can get those sales, and by using tools. So third-party tools. So for example, you want to use a tool that you can just pass on to your downline and say, let's do this. Pass that on to your downline, let's do this. So for example, the 30-day launch guide, which I'm now renaming, I'm going to rename it the 10, come here, Max. I'm going to rename it the 10-step launch guide. 30 days just seems overwhelming, okay? So the 10-day launch guide, I created it for myself because I really sucked at launching new presenters and making it duplicable. I knew in my head what I had to do. I just assumed that they all knew what they had to do as well, right? But you can't assume. So I made that. So it launches their business in 10 easy steps. And then from there, after the 10 or 11 steps, then they know what to do. And then they can do the exact same thing with their team. And then the exact same thing with their team. Once they've created those steps, once they finish those steps, following along in our Makeup Moguls training page is easy for them because they understand everything. They understand what we're posting. They understand what we're talking about. But when you just add them into the groups and say, here's the training groups, read the files, good luck, you know, some may do that, but they don't understand what we're talking about. So you have to give them that third-party tool first, let them learn all of that, you know, in, 15 to 30 days. And then they'll understand and they'll know what they're talking about, and then they can start following along, okay? So use that. It is in the files tab. I can tell you the last 18 people I have sponsored have been using the 30-day launch, the launch guide, and 70% of them have hit promotions, have recruited people, and have monthly sales every single month, okay? So then I went back to the last 18 people previous that I had sponsored that I was not using anything. I was just adding them into my groups saying, read the files. If there's anything you need, I'm here for you. And I assumed that they would just follow along. 20% of them did anything. Okay. So it was my fault that I did not give them something, launchable, or it was my fault that I assumed that they would just know what we were talking about, okay? So those are 3 easy ways to make your team duplicable. The most important is just lead by example. If you are building your business, you are being successful, you are doing small, consistent things every single day, your team will follow. Your team will see that you're doing it. They will know that it is possible, and they will start doing it. The second is the launch guide. Use that, or whatever third-party tool that you have. Start using the tools that we have, and I'm telling you, they will work. So hopefully that helped. If you have any questions about the video, comment below, and then we can discuss it as a team. Okay? Bye, everybody.